Yo, it's Nico here on Gaming After Hours, and today we are going to go over a strategy for soloing the 7-star Hisuian Decidueye Tera raid in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, I've done a lot of testing with a few different builds of different Pokemon, and the Pokemon I will present to you to take down the Hisuian Decidueye is what I find to be not only the safest, but the most consistent option, as well as being easily obtainable in both Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. But before we get into the Pokemon build and strategy, let's go ahead and take a look at the Hisuian Decidueye to see what we're dealing with. Now, this Hisuian Decidueye does have pretty good coverage with its attacks, and it hits harder than I was initially anticipating. Its signature move, Triple Arrows, is a fighting type physical attack with base 90 power. This move has a high crit chance, it has a 50% chance to lower your defense by one stage, and it has a 30% chance to cause a flinch. Brave Bird is a powerful flying type attack that has a 33% recoil effect, but because these 7-star Tera raid bosses have so much HP, this isn't really going to help us that much. Shadow Claw is a ghost type physical attack that has a high crit ratio, and Leaf Blade is similar, but it is a grass type that has a high crit ratio. The 7-star Hisuian Decidueye also has some other moves that it will use at set moments in the battle. The first is Bulk Up, which raises the attack and defense of the boss by one stage. Swords Dance gives it a twofold attack buff. Grassy Terrain increases the power of grass moves and restores everybody's HP who is grounded. And then finally, Leaf Storm is a very powerful special type grass move that lowers the user's attack by 2 stages. Okay, so the Pokemon we're going to use to take on the Hisuian Decidueye is going to be Corviknight with a Tera type of flying, holding the Shell Bell. The primary move of attack is going to be Drill Peck. It's a solid base 80 power, 100% accuracy flying type move. We're going to use Reflect to buff our physical defenses, and we're going to use Bulk Up to buff our attack and defense stats. I have Roost in this moveset here, but we're actually not going to use it, and it's probably for the best since losing that flying typing would give him a fighting weakness, and that's not what we want. As far as stats go, I went ahead with an Adamant Minted Nature, which boosts attack and lowers special attack, and I dumped all of my EVs into HP and defense to give my Corviknight maximum bulk. Corviknight's hidden ability, Mirror Armor, is the crux of this strategy since it reflects back stat debuffs this Pokemon receives. So every time Triple Arrows gives us a defense debuff, it's actually going to reflect it back on Hisuian Decidueye, making it easier for us to do damage since Corviknight doesn't actually have the naturally highest attack stats. Let's go ahead and talk about the actual strategy we are going to use to defeat this Hisuian Decidueye. Now, I break this fight down into 3 phases, though because many of the phase transitions are timing based and not necessarily turn based, you might have plus or minus 1 move at the phase transitions, so play accordingly. Now we're going to open with Reflect, and after we use our first move, sometimes we can actually get another move in, but Decidueye will remove the party buffs and then use Bulk Up, so if you do have this second move before it does this, you might as well just use Drill Peck. After he removes the party buffs and uses Bulk Up, you can go ahead and use Bulk Up twice and Drill Peck once. We really just want to get kind of an initial attack off. We're waiting for him to transition to phase 2, at which point he will remove debuffs on himself and cast Swords Dance. At this point, we're going to want to continue increasing our attack and defense with Bulk Up, throw up another Reflect when the initial Reflect goes down, and then cast Drill Peck. Or should I say use Drill Peck? This Corviknight is not necessarily a mage. I have a star next to this Drill Peck because at this point my Corviknight died, which was kind of nice because we then avoided the Grassy Terrain and Leaf Storm. But if your Corviknight is still alive, that's fine. Leaf Storm actually doesn't always target the player, so sometimes it can hit someone else, which is also fine. The point is that we don't want to Terastallize until Corviknight has died if your defenses aren't looking good. So after the Hisuian Decidueye uses Grassy Terrain and Leaf Storm, that means we're going to be in phase 3, and we are going to want to use 3 Bulk Ups, a Drill Peck to use all 3 of our attacks to be able to Terastallize, and then Terastallize and use Drill Peck until the fight is completed. Now, throughout phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, every time Decidueye uses Triple Arrows and is able to get a defense debuff on you, it's actually going to reflect it back on him. So this should allow us to be able to heal up enough damage in the final phase using Drill Pecks, and also resist enough damage using Bulk Up, not to die in that final phase of the fight. So trust the process and carry on when you get to that point. Alright, so here we are at the raid done. Let's go ahead and select our Corviknight and enter this raid alone and see how this build is conducive to defeating the 7-star Hisuian Decidueye on its own. Alright, so that's it. Corviknight is our weapon of choice, clocking in at a 6.5-minute raid, which is not bad at all. Coming up with a strategy, however, for this raid was somewhat difficult, but we managed to persevere, and this build should be good to allow you to farm this raid if you want the candies, the Tera shards, whatever. So tell me down below, which Pokemon did you use to do this raid? Which Pokeball did you catch your Hisuian Decidueye in with the mightiest mark? And I will see you next time here on Gaming After Hours.